G'day guys! So today's video is part 6 of the HPI RS4 Project Speed series. So this is a series of videos where I'm going about having a go at doing some speed runs with an HPI RS4 Sport 3, and I'm really doing this for fun. So if you've just stumbled across this video series, I'm not taking it as serious as a lot of other guys do when they do speedrun videos. But in this series, I'm also going to see how far I can push this car on 2-cell. Now, in the last video, I had a good run. I broke my personal best, and it was 103 kilometers an hour. I'll put that down in miles per hour for those who use that unit of speed. So that was my personal best. However, I did have a slight issue with the car, namely the electronics side. Now, what I'll do is, instead of just me standing here yapping away like I normally do, let's just head over to the workbench and we'll have a look at the car, and I'll go through the issue I was talking about. Alrighty guys, so here is the car. So like I was just saying, in the last video I did a personal best of 103k an hour, and in doing so I did notice an issue with the car. Now, as I take the body off here, you'll see the electronics that I am using. So for steering servo, I'm using a Savox steering servo. I am using an LRP iX8 version 2 speed controller. This is primarily an 8th scale speed controller. And for motive power, I am using a fairly old Novak Velocity 5.5 turn motor. Now, like I said, this car, I did my personal best. I did 103 kilometers an hour. The issue I noticed though, that there was certain points where I noticed it was cutting out. Now, I'm not too sure what it is. However, well, I am fairly certain that the issue is the actual motor itself. Now, this motor hasn't really had a lot of use. However, it is fairly old, and those of you that have been in the RC hobby for a very long time know that Novak Electronic were around, crikey, I think they were the 70s, I think, late 70s, early 80s, and they shut up shop a few years ago. So a lot of your younger generation probably have never heard of Novak Electronic. However, I'm quite certain that this motor is what is causing the cutting out issue, and namely at low RPM. When the car gets right into its power band, I mean, it is hauling ass. But I have noticed that there are some points where the motor is, well, I'm noticing it cutting out. So what I'm going to do is I am going to replace this motor. Now, I haven't bought a new motor. However, I do have a Reedy 4-turn motor that I have in a no prep drag car that I'm not currently running at the moment. So what I'm going to do is, off camera, is I'm going to take this motor out, and take the Reedy motor out of the drag car and put it in. I'll do that all off camera and I'll be back and we'll continue on from there. Alright guys, so I've got it all done. Sorry if you can hear some background noise. I actually have my clothes dryer running at the moment. Anyway, so the motor is in. Took a bit of faffing about. I actually had to drill out this screw here to well, the original screw. Where is it? Where'd it go? I must have chucked it. Oh, there it is. Had to drill it out because it had stripped, so that was annoying. But so the motor is in. So like I said, the original motor here that I was using is an old Novak Velocity 5.5 turn, and I'm thinking this might be part of the problem. I don't know if you can see it too well on camera, but because these motors, the sensor wire, that's it. You got one big ass sensor wire and that's all you got, and you just had to make do with it. And it was permanently soldered to the sensor board inside, but I have a feeling that might be the issue, apart from its age. So we have in here a Reedy Sonic 4-turn. Unfortunately I had to use a big ass sensor lead for this because it's the only one I had lying around at the moment. I will later on put a shorter one in because of the distance between the motor and speed controller here. Yeah, so that's the motor. It had so this is the Mark II version. It's not the latest Reedy motor by any means, but it's still got plenty of oomph. So this was out of one of my no prep drag cars, and I don't use it very often. So it's a faster motor. I'm still using the same gearing as before. It was even though I have upgraded the spur gear to a metal gear, it's still the I forget what the standard size spur is, but it's the standard size spur, but a metal geared one. And a 36 or 37 tooth pinion. So the gearing hasn't changed, so it will be considerably faster than the 5.5 turn. So I'm definitely going to, well, I'm hoping to do a better PB than before. What I'm also going to do is with the body, as you can see here guys, with the body, I'll just carefully put it on. So with the body I have this little fin at the back here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to 3D print another fin. It's going to be a little bit longer, but there's going to be two of them, and this section here is going to be a little bit wider, and they're going to come out here. So I'm going to do that off camera too. So through the magic of video editing, hopefully I will have a better tail fin. Alright guys, so here is the new wing. So obviously, as I said before, this isn't for downforce. This is purely for basically stopping it from sliding out. That's the hope. Just got a few little bits of plastic to sand off there, just from the printing as it was going, as the extruder was going back and forth. You get bits of string, and there's just some left on the tips here. But what I did is, I know I said I was going to make it so it was two fins on the back here. However, what I did is I got the original design, and I just I use Tinkercad for those who are wondering. I use Tinkercad for coming up with my designs. So what I did is I got the original design, which was what you see here, and I lengthened this part here and made these fins on the side here. The idea behind it is so this, obviously there's going to be wind going over it either way, but the wind will go over this way and go through this fin. Then you have the fins either side, and you've got the air going along through there. That's the theory anyway. The whole idea is to try and keep it as straight as possible, or stop it from fishtailing and losing control. So I guess the only thing to do now is charge a battery and test it. So as I'm filming this bit right now, it is Saturday morning. The weather is crap, and hopefully tomorrow the weather will be a little bit better. So as always, with the magic of video editing, we will be at the test area. Alright guys, we're at the usual testing area. There's a little bit of traffic. Well, it's not so much traffic, but we got a trailer parked in the way, so we're gonna have to be careful. Looks fairly good. Bit of wind. Gonna have to be careful with that. So I'm going to get this all set up, get it all ready, and we'll see how we go with a pass. Alright guys, got it ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record the speed, however I'm not going to go full tilt. What I'm going to do is do a very conservative run, just to make sure it's all good. Alright, here we go. Well, honestly guys, that was scooting, and that wasn't full throttle. Alright, I'm quite curious to see what that was like. That felt very stable. There was no cutting out. So stop, read. Holy crap. So that was probably the best part of about half throttle, and that was 97 kilometers an hour at that speed. So 97 kilometers an hour with the 4-turn motor, felt very stable. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start again. I just want to check the trim on it too, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll just check the trim. Alright. Ooh, oh, there's a car coming. Now we're going to have wind with us, so we'll see how we go. Alright guys, here we go. Wow. Wow, that was full throttle. I'm excited to see what this was. Alright, stop, read. 118 kilometers an hour. Well guys, I've bested my personal best by 15 kilometers an hour. I will put down what that is in miles per hour. 118 kilometers an hour. That is worthy of a screenshot. Well guys, I am happy with that so far, and there was no cutouts. It didn't cut out at all. It definitely felt really stable with the new tail fins. Yeah, that was screaming. I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now guys is, I didn't want to do a whole heap of runs, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here and we'll be back at the workbench. Well guys, I can honestly say that that is without doubt the most successful run that I have had with this car. I am very happy with those two runs. Now, like I said, I didn't want to do too many runs, as this was really just to test whether or not the cutting out issues were resolved. Now, first thing I want to point out is I can't stress this enough when I say that I know that 118 kilometers an hour isn't fast compared to what some of the other cars are. Just keep remembering guys that at the moment it's on 2-cell and I'm just ironing out some kinks at the moment. And at the moment it seems I'm confident to say that I'm happy with how the car is now, that I can start pushing it to see how fast I can get it to go. And yeah, I'm happy. So the wing, it actually came loose on that last run, which I could have sworn that I'd tightened up the nut and bolt, but yeah, she came loose. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Even though it did come loose, I'm actually quite happy with how stable the car felt in a straight line. The first wing, because the original, if you remember, the original fin was just this piece here. It kind of worked, but these definitely made a difference. The car felt straight, and it didn't feel edgy, if that makes any sense. It didn't feel like it was wanting to slide about. It felt really good. The only point where it slid out in that run was where I was braking and it hit a bit of dirt, because at the end of that road it was there's a lot of like rocks and gravel, so it was sliding on that. But like I said, it felt really good. It felt stable, so I'm comfortable there. And the motor, it definitely there was no cutting out issues or anything like that. Now, I want to point out too, before I cut to the out to the test area, when it was on the table, I had this really long sensor cable. I found a shorter one in my box of bits, so I put this sensor cable on. Yeah, so that made it nice and tidy. Wasn't big jumble of wires. So the motor performed well. It did get a bit warm because, got to remember, it is a 4-turn motor and it is geared right up, but like it felt good. It had plenty of power. It didn't cut out. The speed controller was fine. It didn't cut out either, and the battery's a little bit warm, but it's fine. I'm happy with that. So I can honestly say, guys, that the little fixes that I've made here and there have made a difference, especially if you remember, I think it was the last video, I put the aluminium steering system in. That definitely took out the slop that I had, so that's better. The steering is more direct now. The motor, so definitely the cutting out issue was the old Novak motor here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the frayed sensor wire there. So it's a shame because it was a good motor, but we got the Reedy 4-turn in now. So now what we can do now, guys, is we can start finding ways to make this go faster. I might leave it as it is for a little while longer in this current configuration with gear ratio and so forth, but it is definitely hauling ass now, and I'm happy with it. So guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions or if you have any tips for me, I'm all ears for any tips and constructive criticism like that. I'm all ears as always. But until the next video, guys, enjoy your hobby and cheers.